I'm Kate Monroe. I'm the writer of The Body Man and the writer of The Hales. I was so blessed to be able to be the lead actress in both. I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Kate, as both an actress and one of the producers, how do you navigate the balance between being in front of the camera and shaping the vision behind it?
It's so interesting being newer to making movies or making verticals, being in the thing and working on the thing. It's kind of, I correlate it to how my business is. Some days I'm working in my business, doing the work of the business, and some days I'm working on the business. So it's kind of the same. When you're acting in it, you're working in it. You're doing your part, focused on your performance. How am I relating with these other actors? But when you're working on it, you're like, how are they doing? How does the lighting look? Hey, how's the sound look? Or did their mannerisms make sense? So for me, it's a pretty easy bridge to get across because I'm used to that, being in the thing or on the thing. And that's, I think if I look at it through that lens, it's a lot easier for me to process than looking at it like something brand new. Because it's really not brand new, right? You're in it, you're on it, and that's just really how business works.
Your series Body Man marks an important milestone this year. What inspired you to create it, and what story were you most determined to tell?
You know, in creating the Body Man story, I first wrote the books. And quite frankly, I didn't know at the time that I wrote it that it was going to become a screenplay, that it was going to become a movie. I wrote it because I had run for Congress and I had been on the news a lot as a political pundit. And the Body Man is a lot of my real life. You know, I really did go down to the border and face the cartel like I do. You know, I was really running against an incumbent on the other side. And so a lot of it pulled from my real life, obviously mixed with some fiction. I was in the Marine Corps, so a lot of the military aspects of that body of work come from my past experience. So while it is a fiction book or a fictional movie, I would say that more than half of it comes from my real life. Actually, a lot of it does. And so the story I was hoping to tell was a story that both sides could go watch. So you can decide for yourself when it's put in this medium, where do I stand on which side of the aisle? Am I for or against this person? And it kind of helps you better rationalize the issues at hand. Because as you know, the border was the #1 topic for both sides for years and years and years. And so I think telling that story in a fictional way lets people of all different ideological backgrounds sit in the same theater and watch the same thing and be able to formulate an opinion at the same time. And that very rarely happens because most people are just watching their camp of news or listening to their, camp of rhetoric. And here we put both of them into the same movie. And I think it's exciting.
You are the creator, writer, and producer of your own projects. How has taking full creative control changed your approach to storytelling?
Taking full creative control is sort of just the next part of my journey. If you look at my business, like if you worked at VetCom or you worked on my campaign, you would realize that I do a lot better when I'm in control. I don't really like to leave my success up to other people. So for me, it's actually way easier that I have more control. It's easier to write it, easier to stand behind the camera, easier to be in it, because then I don't have to be mad that the outcome isn't what I want.
Right. With The Hales, you step into a criminal drama as both writer and lead. What draws you to this genre, and what can audiences expect from your character?
So going toward The Hales, comes from my lifelong love affair with crime thriller dramas. Growing up with a mom that watched all the best, crime dramas. I always just had an affinity for it. I've probably watched every single one that's ever been made. If you have a good one, please do tell me if I have missed it, what it is. But I think that crime drama was fun because it was apart from my real life. Now, I did have a hostile takeover of my company a little over a year ago and had to spend a ton of time in court. So maybe some of my real life fed into my, wanting to do a courtroom drama. But this really is a crime thriller. It's a good whodunit. And for me, I'm getting to play in a game that I used to only get to watch as a voyeur, right? I get to just watch it. Now I get to go, what is the perfect recipe that makes you stay on your toes and wonder who did it? And I think I just put years and years and years of watching and hoping and wishing that I could be involved in it into this one work. So I actually think people are going to like it enough where it could be its own movie or its own full-blown series. That's the hope.
You've also developed original vertical content for modern audiences. How do you see storytelling evolving with new formats and viewing habits?
I think if you look at the landscape right now of what's going on in Hollywood, LA is having a really big issue. The city who's supposedly like Hollywood, like they're in the business of making movies, I think they got out of the business. And then at the same time, when COVID hit, I think people it was more customary to go to the movies. And you wouldn't watch a movie as much at home, you'd watch shows. But movies, you'd go to the movie theater and watch it. But COVID had everybody inside, so the industry pivoted. And then you got accustomed to just sitting at your house in your PJs watching a movie. And then with social media and with TikTok, and we keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter content. So while it's really good for people like me that are willing to create these vertical dramas, the demand will always outweigh what we can produce. Because if the hail, say, is 20 minutes long, the second that 20 minutes is over, if you binge it and it only took you 20 minutes, you're going to be like, where is season 2? Where is season 3? It's an insatiable appetite that people have for creatorship. So I think while it's really cool because creators are going to make more money, if I can tokenize the industry and let everybody participate, the actors, the fans, the creators themselves, it should absolutely explode, but at what rate? And at what cost? So it's sort of a stay tuned right now, I think. I'm excited to make my foray into that market. And I think what I made with the Hales is probably going to become the industry standard. Sorry, everyone, that we made something that's like feature film quality. But I think there's an appetite for it. And I think it's really exciting.
Well, we're excited. Cannes is just around the corner. How are you stepping into that moment, and what kind of energy are you bringing with you this year?
Going to the film festival is really exciting for me for a couple of different reasons. As a person who just made their first movie about part of their real life, and as someone who's had really good success in the political arena, being a CEO, being on TV, this is a new thing. This is the next big thing, and I'm one to create memories. Memories are more important to me than really anything else. So when I go and do this, for me, it's wrapping up everything I went through to get the movie made and to make it in all its success, and going to stand on that stage and walk those carpets with those people and say, hey, I am like you. And I'm going to arrive violently on my field of battle. And I don't mean I'm going to be throwing fists, although don't try me on. I can tell you unequivocally that I will go there. I will be in full regalia. I will walk the carpet. I will get my picture taken. Like, I will do all the things that I need to do to win. To me, this is about winning. Like, right? So it's about, the winning to me is, how did I get the attention on me, on my project, on my business? Did I successfully navigate that space with all these people I don't know? Did I do a good enough job to be remembered? Am I going to be written about? It's like creating a thing that's the difference between something being ephemeral, which is here and gone, or something that's evergreen, like a redwood tree. And I like to do things that are evergreen. I will have these pictures forever. I will go in my grave knowing I did this alongside all these other people. And I think the lesson here really is, if I can go there and I can arrive violently on my field of battle and win at the level I think I can, then I'm going to pave a way for a lot of other people to not have to go through 20 or 30 years of bullshit, quite frankly, and have to sell their soul, when really you don't have to go that direction. I'm trying to provide and trailblaze a path for other people like me to cut in on this market where it's really been a closed opportunity. Because think about it like this. There's all the stars. There's only a handful of stars that you really know their name. And they're like the stars in the heavens. Here in San Diego, we don't even see the stars every day. It's too bright. You don't even see them every day. You see them occasionally when you go camp, when you get out in nature, and you can look up and really reflect on those stars, but they're not something you see every day. You do see the trees every day. Here in San Diego, we see the ocean, and we see the sunshine, and we see all the flowers. All of that is just as important, if not more, than the stars you very rarely, if ever, see. And I think we place too much on the stars and not enough on what exists around us all the time. And that's where the industry is going. And that is the battlefield that you will find me on at the film festival.
I love that analogy. Lastly, looking ahead, what kind of stories are you most excited to bring to life? And what defines a project as truly meaningful to you today?
A project that's going to be meaningful to me is something that people will enjoy and that I can monetize. If people don't enjoy it, they won't watch it, so you made it for naught. You might as well put it on a shelf and just watch it yourself or send it to your friends. So it needs to be intriguing to a big audience, and you need to be able to monetize it, because if you don't monetize it, you can't make another one.
Well, we're excited to see it, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Catch me on Glam Week.